Anatara Lifesciences Ltd, ANR, on the Australian Stock Exchange, is a small cap biotech focused on human health. And with me today, I have Mr. Steven Lydeamore with me. Welcome, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Now, you're only recently with Anatara, just late last year. What brought you to the company?
Look, I come from a pharmaceutical background dating back to 1992. I joined FH Fielding and Company Limited, which sadly no longer exists today, but was at the time Australia's largest pharmaceutical company. I've worked in Australia, in the US and in Canada in varying roles from finance, business development through to president of a biological division of Canada's largest pharmaceutical company. Coming back to Australia, I was seeking a challenge, and Anatara presented me such a challenge where I can use my skills to add value to what exists here, which is a talented and passionate team and a product that's both innovative and addressing a high unmet need in gastrointestinal health.
So let's talk about that for a second. Irritable bowel syndrome is something that everybody knows, and this is you're focused on this. Now, you've migrated from animal products into the human products, specifically targeting gastrointestinal health.
We have. So the product Detach was developed by Anatara, the first product in animal health for treating scour, which is diarrhoea in piglets. That product was approved in October last year. In moving towards the animal health market, Anatara was looking for a market which had similar characteristics, lending off the bromelain, which is the key ingredient in Detach, and moving into human health. And after much market analysis, we discovered that there was a significant unmet need in irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease. Both diseases have similar characteristics in that they have inflammation, low in the case of IBS, through to quite severe and chronic in the case of IBD, an upset microbiome, and also a gut which has been in some way damaged or depleted.
Are there competitors for Anatara's product in Australia right now?
Not for IBS specifically, not really from a pharmaceutical point of view. There are no pharmaceutical products approved for IBS in Australia, although some are used off-label. There are products which are being used to treat some symptoms of IBS. However, none of them, to our knowledge, addresses the three critical things to do with IBS, and that is to restore the microbiome, to reduce the inflammation, and to repair the gut lining.
So Anatara's had some success with product already, because you've licensed a product to a company that will be selling a licensed product that you've developed here in Australia.
They have. I mentioned that product before. So the animal health product was approved in Australia for treating scour, which is diarrhoea in piglets. That was in October last year. The company that we've licensed that to is Zoetis, the world's largest animal health company. A great partner to have, one with resources that can take the product through research and development, through registration and through sales and marketing globally, not just for piglets, but for all livestock species and also for horses.
Irritable bowel syndrome is something that everybody knows, but what is the size of the market, and particularly what's the domestic market and the global market comparison?
Yeah, look, given its prevalence, roughly 11% of the global population suffer from IBS. And if you want to put that in Australian context, at some point in Australians' lifetime, 1 out of 5 or 20% of people will experience it. So it is quite serious. So you probably should know somebody that have it, but chances are that you may not. And the reason for that is that it's such a debilitating reduction quality of life type disease that people tend to be embarrassed to talk about it. And for that reason, they may not tell you. But it's a significant unmet need. We talked before about the lack of treatment options.
Well, how's it treated now? I mean, we're all aware of IBS, but how are people getting treated now?
Yeah, typically a person would either self-medicate, or if they go to a doctor, they would get a referral to a gastroenterologist. And the gastroenterologist will try and diagnose what type of symptoms the patient has and treat accordingly. And that could be to reduce inflammation. If the person's suffering from abdominal pain, they may give them something for that. But as I said before, nothing out there really treats all three different areas of IBS, and that's what we're trying to do with our product.
To release this product, you're actually going an extra step by doing these studies that aren't really required. Is that correct?
We are, that's true. So a dietary supplement strictly speaking, you only need to show safety, but if I was a patient, I would want to know that the product worked in humans, and so that for that reason, we're going ahead with doing that. The second reason is that negotiations coming up with a partner, it strengthens our hand. If they're going to invest their money in globally marketing such a product, we want this to be a premium product in the top tier. You need to give them the evidence to work with. So the proof of concept data we have already, together with the animal data, that study will start soon, and the human IBS trial will provide them that.
Steve, I think investors would really want to understand what the results from this proof of concept studies are.
They should, and the reason for that, these studies will give us confidence moving into the human IBS trial, as well as the mouse IBD model, that they should be successful. Just to give an idea of how good these results were, they're more than double the results that we were expecting. So with regard to pro-inflammatory bacteria, we stopped the growth of these pro-inflammatory bacteria by greater than 85%, and we stopped detachment and invasion of pro-inflammatory bacteria into the gut wall, which causes all the problems with the microbiome, by greater than 95%.
So let's talk about commercialisation. You've already licensed a product to a company, Zoetis, for the animal health. Your plans for commercialisation of this IBS product, what does that look like?
Yeah, we have a clear plan and a path to commercialisation, and we're well on track for doing that. The first step was to demonstrate proof of concept in vitro. This is in test tubes where we grew three-dimensional human gut models to test our product in. This is an industry standard model which is used in pharmaceutical development for products of this type. So we've done that, and the results that we got were outstanding, so much so that our advisory board advised us to skip the step which we were going to go down, which was to test the product in pigs. You may laugh because that's where we came from on the animal health side, but to go for IBS straight into human clinical studies. So we're planning for that at the moment. We expect to recruit the first patient later this calendar year. And in the meantime, we're also planning on running an IBS model in a mouse to demonstrate safety and also to provide some other evidence associated with the effectiveness of it.
Well, let's talk to investors now. What's the time frame for the commercialisation, and how do you see any kind of numbers, if you do have any kind of projection? I mean, not a forward-looking statement, but for investors wanting to know what your plan and strategy is.
Yeah, so we have a target of 18 to 24 months through to partnering. Our target partnering company would be a major global consumer health company. That could be one of the pharma companies. So if you think of the likes of GSK, J&J, Bayer, it could be a major consumer health company. So think of companies like Procter & Gamble, Reckitt Benckiser, Nestlé Health. They're the target marketers of the product. And unlike our animal health product, the product development program that I described before will not require them to do any additional work for them to register the product globally, which will allow them to launch. The trials that we're designing should be sufficient to meet all the requirements of North America, of Europe, as well as Australia, of course.
Fantastic. For investors watching, Anatara Lifesciences Ltd on the Australian Stock Exchange and the ticker code ANR. Steve Lydeamore, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.